Hello, everyone. My name is Igor Tomych, and today at Merchant Payment Ecosystem, we're conducting interviews with the different stakeholders. And it's amazing that Ruth actually agreed to conduct an interview with us. And she's a chair at MPE and also the European director of European. This is the correct way
The
to say
European business, yeah, a Blackwired.
of
That's right.
Blackwired. Thank you for helping with the positioning. And today we're going to discuss a really important topic, security and AI and whatever's happening in payments, because with the changes of the protocols, there's some new risks are coming into the platforms because everything is kind of built as a customer-centric approach. Authorization of the payments, understanding the context, because when agents are going to interact with the websites, e-commerces, and then essentially do the payments, a lot of things that we used to think they're going to be changed. When the AI system become more autonomous, and particularly in emergence of the agentic AI, which risk you think the board and payments industry will still underestimate? Is it security? Is it identity misuse? What is your view here?
The biggest risk is cybersecurity, interestingly, because you have to imagine you have now an explosion of the attack vector surface. Today, as you say, you log in as a customer, you authenticate. Depending on the device, you can even use biometrics and all sorts of other things. But now, as it's coming into the market, you have AI agents. And these AI agents, of course, should act on your behalf. But what if they don't? So you can have very easy cybersecurity breaches where the AI agent is poisoned. If it's connected to your payment instrument, your payment system, then of course money can be stolen very quickly. And today, a lot of merchants find it very challenging to understand whether it is a real customer on their website or an AI agent. So the whole merchant ecosystem needs to gear up to be able to identify the agents, to identify the good agents from the bad agents, and to make sure, of course, that you monitor the agent throughout the ecosystem cycle, from the research to the purchase to the settlement, and also the potential refund and disputes, because along those ways, the agent may change, may be poisoned, may suddenly do something that is fraudulent. And yesterday at the conference, we had a very good reminder of how industrialized fraud is at a global level. So AI agents in this ecosystem are going to be the next level of risk.
Because when AI will come, we cannot 100% sure if we're not properly protecting the system who is driving those actions, because it's no longer the customer itself and we cannot differentiate it from the real customer experience.
So you have now things like agentic tokens. The card schemes are preparing things. So there are different layers of security you will have to implement depending on the payment instruments and networks you use. But the big risk is there, and right now people are not ready for it.
And that kind of leads to the second question. How we can actually innovate in this context without compromising the security and having more risks?
Yes, I think when you talk about governance and what you need to look out for in the payments business, it is about understanding what you're using. So if you're starting to use AI agents, document it, have an audit trail. We now have obviously regulatory requirements around all of this together, and I'll come to that in a second. You need to be able to test how it behaves. I almost say to the industry, it feels like it should still be in a sandbox, but it's already out, but it is not mature. So everybody that engages with it, either knowingly or unknowingly, you need to first understand what you're looking for and what you have already in the systems. And secondly, as you're embracing new technologies, you have to work with different levels of experts to implement and test these things very carefully, because AI can be a real risk if it's not implemented and monitored correctly.
I think what one aspect which we should put for consideration is a frequency, because when we're dealing with the real customers, the action's quite slow. Like
Yes.
you are not using a lot of tabs, you are still searching, buying, but vector of attack with the AI might be scaled up. It
That's
means
right.
that in a second, the site, website, or the e-commerce platform will be DDoS. Some issues or exploit might be used to get something for free or mess with the payment rails. So I think that's something that we haven't seen before, this specific attacks with a more frequency based than we've seen it before.
That's right. And there's no limit to the creativity of the attackers. So
Yeah,
indeed.
that's true. But then a good question, what we can do for the next 24 months is to protect us over those risks which are bulking up right now.
Well, I think the connection here is also the regulatory regime, right? We do see with PSD3 and PSR more liability coming onto the payment service providers, increase in complexity and implementation of secure customer authentication. Of course, that is a question in its own right. If your customer is suddenly a bot, is it a good bot or a bad bot? You have to have different forms of authenticating and monitoring and proving the intent that the AI is acting on behalf of you and has your intent. So there are all sorts of new terminologies and concepts to consider. But in addition to payments and heightened liabilities, and also the question for merchants whether they may fall into payment service categories by accident almost, you have the AI Act that interconnects with that. And you also have the EU Identity Wallet, and AI does too. So all of these regulatory things are converging and connected and interdependent, which means that you have to be able, as I said, once you start embracing this new technology, you need to really know what you're doing. You need to document it. You have to have an audit trail. You need to have explainability of the solutions. How do they really work? And for anybody out there, you need to think, today we use cool automation with AI potentially. In future, very near future, these will be highly regulated risk AI systems that will be supervised by regulators in Europe.
Thank you for highlighting all those points. I think that's important to understand where we head in with the payments and agentic AI usage. So thank you for your time, and it was a pleasure to discuss.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.